I'm going to show you exactly how I get hundreds of free leads and cash commission checks every single week. Start to finish, my entire strategy. It's exactly how I closed 250 deals and made over $800,000 in commission. Hey guys, it's Andy Coleman. Today, I'm gonna break down my lead gen strategy and how I scaled to making millions of dollars in my first few years as a new realtor with no sphere of influence in a brand new state. So if I can do it, you can too. You just need the right system. Seriously, I'm not better than anybody else. I just learned something others haven't figured out yet. I still remember struggling to close a single deal my first few months in South Florida. I had no network whatsoever, right? It was really tough. But the hardest part was getting leads. So once I figured out this strategy, everything changed. I'm not exaggerating. I get over 100 leads a day. So let me show you exactly how I do it. So when I first started, I had no idea how to get leads. Then I discovered something in my MLS called Any Broker Advertise. I saw all of these rental listings just sitting there with yes next to it. So it meant I get permission to market them anywhere I want. Now, if your MLS doesn't have this feature, don't worry. Just text or call the listing agent and ask if you can advertise their rentals. 9 out of 10 times, they're gonna say yes because they never wanted anything to do with the rental in the first place. But here's what really changed the game. Instead of farming one tiny area like everyone taught me, I went crazy. I started posting properties in a 45-minute radius around where I lived. I'd take 10 different towns, I'd find about 10 different properties in each one, and then I would vary up the price points in each town. So let's say I'm in Boca Raton, for example, I would go from 2,500 all the way up to 4,000, and then I would vary each price point. I'd have one at each level essentially. So now I would have 100 listings up working for me. Once I figured that out, the leads went from 20 the first day to sometimes 200 a day. All free, and these are all from Facebook Marketplace. So you don't have to worry about doing any kind of ads whatsoever. I just made sure to get permission from the listing agent. I added courtesy of their brokerage just to stay compliant, and I watched my phone blow up every day. Some properties would get me 20 leads, others would get me none. It really depends on the price and the beds and the baths that you do. If you price it $300 to $500 below the market price for, let's say, a 3-bedroom house, your phone is not gonna stop ringing. But here's the thing, most agents think getting leads is the hard part. It's not. The hard part is actually converting the leads into clients that actually want to work with you, that aren't gonna ghost you. Seriously, if you mess up on this next step, you're only gonna close a couple deals if you're lucky, instead of at least 10 a month, just like me and a lot of the agents that I've taught. So you wanna get your conversion rate up as high as possible so these leads don't go to waste. Let me show you exactly how I do that. So as I scaled, like I said, I went from 20 messages a day to 200 messages in my Facebook inbox, but I made a huge mistake. I waited until the very next day to respond to each one of these leads. By the time I finally got back to them, maybe 20 people answered. 20 out of 200. That's when I learned every hour you wait to respond, your conversion rate drops drastically. Now I respond within minutes. So this is exactly what I do. As soon as someone messages me about a property, I immediately reach back out to them and I say something like, hey, it's Andy Coleman with EXP. Yes, it's available. When would you like to see it? Now, do you notice how simple and fast that was? We're not trying to be a salesperson. We're not trying to be complex and write them a whole entire block of text. All that stuff is just gonna scare them away. But here's the thing most agents get wrong. You have to get them off of Facebook Messenger as fast as possible. If you're wondering why, it's because if they're messaging me, they're probably messaging 10 other agents too. So once I get them on the phone, I always try to set them up in my MLS so they have backup options. This way, just in case that first property doesn't work out, I can find them a backup property. Keep in mind, you really wanna limit the amount of properties that you send them. It's kind of like the Goldilocks zone. You don't want to send them to many properties and you don't want to send them to few properties. You want to give them just the right amount of options. If you do this, you're going to turn them from a lead into a client, and there's a big difference there because a client is loyal to you for life and they're going to send you a ton of referrals. Now, the next step is critical because if you mess this up, you're not going to be able to convert any of your clients into closed deals. I'm about to show you how I went from closing 1 or 2 deals for every 100 leads that I got to closing 7 to 10 deals, meaning my conversion rate went way up, right around 7 to 10%. And if you're wondering what conversion rate is, it's very simple. Just divide how many leads you get to how many deals that you close. Realistically, anything over 5% and you're on the right track. Anything under 5%, that means you have a bottleneck, which I'll talk about in a second, because each one of these steps, if you mess any of them up, it means you have a bottleneck and you're not gonna be able to go on to the next step. Once I figured out how to stop wasting my time, I tripled the amount of deals with the exact same amount of time and effort. So no joke, I would have 50 clients wanting to see dozens of properties every single week. And I was driving maybe 8, 9, 10 hours a day showing them all the properties that they wanted. But little did I know I was wasting the majority of my time. By the time I finished all of my showings for the day, I would have to go home and then do all of my paperwork, like put all my offers in. So I knew I was messing up the next step, which was limiting the amount of showings that I was doing. This is my no showing strategy. So here's what I started doing that got my life back basically, and literally tripled the amount of deals I was doing. So instead of driving around showing 10 properties to every single client, I started showing none. Now I pre-qualify them first, then I submit pre-offers, and I only show the properties that already accepted them. I basically tell the clients straight up, I have a way better system that is gonna save me and you a whole bunch of time. So let's make sure that we get you accepted first, then we'll go and see the ones that say yes. Most agents think I'm either crazy or a genius when I tell them this strategy, but think about it. Would you ever show a for sale property without first getting a pre-approval from your lender? Probably not, right? So here's how it actually works. I use RentSpree, or you could use whatever screening service is in your area. And I have the tenant fill it out, which takes them like 5 or 10 minutes, and it only costs like 30 bucks. The cool part is I'm able to use this as many times as I want, so I can copy and paste it for unlimited amount of properties. And it gives them like their credit, background, eviction report, rental application, like all of that stuff that you need to put in a full offer. It's wild. I had this doctor that had an 800 credit score. He was making well over $200,000 a year, and he wanted to see 6 properties on a Sunday afternoon. So instead of me showing him all those properties, I explained everything I just went over, and he thought it was brilliant. So I got the RentSpree application done. We put in a quick offer. Within 1 hour, I got him accepted to his favorite property. I went and showed him that property, and he basically loved it, and he moved in 2 days later. That was a $6,000 rental, and I made $3,000 off of that, plus my $300 transaction fee that I charged to every one of my renters. I literally made $3,300 for like less than 2 hours of work. But guess what? I personally didn't even show that property. He saw it, but I had somebody else do the showing for me. And that's exactly how I do 0 showings. And all the tenants actually love it too, because think about it. If they're at work, working 8 hours a day, and they have to come home and then see 4 properties for no reason at all, because maybe only one of them actually says yes, then why wouldn't they want to do something like this? This is exactly how my average time per deal dropped from well over 10 hours to 2 hours, sometimes even less. It's how I can handle 50 clients at a time, but I close a lot more of them now. I'll give you an example. In my 3rd year of real estate, I went from closing 150 deals the year before to closing 250 deals, 30 in 1 month. That was actually my record. And that year, I think I became the number 3 or 4th ranked agent in the entire world. But I was still leaving a lot of money on the table because I didn't understand one key principle. You see, all of these renters that I was helping, they were actually future buyers, and I didn't even realize it. The next step is how I became a multi-millionaire. I actually made around $2.5 million in just a few years. Let me show you how I did it. So I'm closing all these rentals, right? Making good money, thinking I had it all figured out. Then one day I get a call from a client that I rented to a year ago. He says, Andy, I just bought a house. Do you want to come to my housewarming party? I was thinking in my head, what the fuck? I almost lost my mind because the nerve of this guy, right? He reached out to me and told me that he bought a house. Like, what about me? Why didn't I sell him that house? It's because I never followed up with him. So ever since then, I created a weekly email system and a 369 system. I basically started writing these awesome emails where I would just provide value and send it to all of my VIP clients 1 time per week. I'm not even joking. Within my first 2 weeks of doing this, I had 2 extra buyers, and it only took me about a week to get each one of them under contract, which was about $15,000 in commission per client. Then when I started calling all of my old renters every 3, 6, and 9 months, it helped me even more. The first month that I did this, I closed 6 extra buyers from it. And by the way, if you're wondering what my record month is, like how much money I made in 30 days, it was $132,000 in commission. You're gonna love this. It was my first renter that I helped get into a rental, and he was making a lot of money. So I called him up one day and he told me that he actually wanted to buy a house. It was a good thing that I called him. Well, he ended up buying a $3.4 million mansion. I made $85,000 in one commission check. But that month, I didn't stop there. I also did another 25 rentals at about $2,000 a piece. That's how I made over $130,000. When you start doing this, eventually your renters, they're gonna start reaching out to you because you're staying top of mind. And the best part is, after they buy from you, eventually they're gonna wanna sell their house. So that's how I get all my sellers now. So think about it, right? It's not just about making tens of thousands of dollars a month from renters. It's also about turning your renters into buyers and your buyers into sellers. This is gonna set up a long-term business that is gonna keep your career going in any market. Seriously, it could be a recession, a depression, it could be a buyer's market, seller's market, doesn't matter. This strategy is gonna work no matter what. Because of that, I actually created an entire program that will save you years of trial and error trying to figure this out on your own. So I gave you a ton of steps, yes, in this video, but my rental system that I created teaches you every single step in order. Think of it as an instructional SOP, like a manual on how I close over 20 deals a month, and I get 10 times more buyers and sellers than the average agent without ever focusing on them. I've taught over 500 agents how to do this. Some of them are closing over 20 deals a month, making $45,000 every 30 days. Part-time agents.
I wanted to find a way to make more money than my 9 to 5. This has given me that path. Part-time, I do about like 5 to 6 deals a month.
So what's your profit after 4 months?
So it'll be 39,000 or so.
Single mothers.
Their dad abandoned the family. I mean, he moved away. He stopped child sharing. He stopped custody. He stopped child support. My first month, I had 11 deals under contract. I think I made some obscene like $14,000.
New realtors.
It changed the game really on month 4. I'll say I had the craziest month I've ever had in real estate. It was around like $43,000 to $45,000. I got a buyer, I got a listing, and 17 rentals in 1 month.
You name it, I've taught them. I'll drop a link in the description if you want to check it out. But I want to give you some valuable advice. After everything I just taught you, yes, this system works really well, but only if you actually do it. Pick rentals as your niche and forget about everything else and what everybody tells you. Everybody's gonna say, don't focus on renters, they're just a waste of time. Well, tell that to my bank account because I've become a multi-millionaire off of working with the renters. You don't even have to take my word for it. Just look what's happening to the buyers and sellers market right now. We notoriously have one of the worst housing markets in the history of real estate. So if people aren't buying and selling, what are they doing? Obviously, they're renting. So if it makes money, it makes sense. And trust me, this made me a lot of money. I believe I've already made $800,000 already in 2025. I'll say one last thing. I don't know how many deals you're gonna close a month off of this, but I promise you, if you try it, you're gonna be wildly impressed and it will work for you.